Hey guys, welcome back to this YouTube page. My name is Grace, creationalcodes.com. Today we are talking about healing God wounds and healing this pain, this separation from God and with the energy of oneness. So take out your notepads, your little note apps in your phones, whatever you feel called to do, or just receive this message and medicine. First topic of conversation is, what is a God wound? What is that exactly? A God wound is an intense feeling in the body that you are not safe, that you are not connected, and that you are kind of adrift and in loneliness on this earth and in this human experience. It can create the sensation of scarcity, lack, insecurity, grievance, doubt in self, loneliness. It's an incredibly painful purgatorial experience in the body because it is the opposite of the true signature of creation, which is oneness, which is connectivity to God's source. It is the severance of that, and it is purgatory. A God wound in the body, in the human experience, or even through the soul, or through the light body field experience, or through your multidimensional selves, a God wound is a severance from oneness, from the organic signature. And this creates a lot of pain in the body. This creates a lot of uncertainty in our actions, in our life path, in our decisions that we choose to make in this life. It can feel very lonely and very uncertain. And we can even turn on ourselves because we do not trust self, because we do not trust God, because God is the reflection of self, and self is the reflection of God, and God is within us. And creation, source God, is all around us. So when we do not trust self, it means we are not trusting God. And when we do not trust God, it means that we cannot trust self, because it is so inherently intertwined on a deeper level. And I know that that can be a bit confusing to understand perhaps, but essentially what I'm saying is that a person will struggle to trust God if they inherently cannot feel God within them, if they inherently cannot feel the presence, the love, the compassion, the frequency and energy and organic signature and organic architecture of creation all around them. It will create a severe wounding and severance from oneness, God, source, creator. And through that severance, we will have a hard time trusting ourselves because there is something missing, there is a void, and that wall, that stability that we can lean back on is missing. And so it's very hard to trust ourselves when we do not truly feel God. And I think some people can trust themselves and be confident and perhaps not be connected to God. But in that circumstance, it would probably be more of a, unstable or false reality, because they could be believing in something that is not founded on organic truth, that stability of source and God, if that makes sense. I'm kind of talking about celebrities and how maybe celebrities seem really confident and cool, and maybe they define their religion as atheist, or maybe they seem so confident and they're kind of connected to darker energies. There's a lot of things that we can lean back on to support us in our connectivity to self. But I think when we choose to connect to God's source and oneness, it can feel like a longer journey, but it is the truest, most rewarding, most fulfilling path, of course, because it is the organic architecture. And it is the only way. All things will fall back, bleed into, and collapse into source, God, creator. So everything else is a fallacy, a falsification. I myself have experienced many teachers explain to me that healing a God wound, or healing in general, can be simple, or can be done in a day, or done in a week, or done in a month. And I really feel like that's glamorizing the process of being human on this earth. And at this time, I feel so deeply that there is so much that we are truly doing here, and that to glamorize the timeline or to shorten it to an extent of your own will and your own ego and your own timeline is not really, it's not really authentic to, in my experience, what is truly going on here in the world. There is no timeline. There is no, nobody can project upon you how you will heal your God wound or when you will, when it will happen. We are being initiated continuously into this resolve and remembrance of self and reclamation of self. And so that takes up time. That takes time. That is a process. That is a potentially, you know, that's why our souls are so old. Our souls are so wise and so majestic and so incredibly vast that we cannot pinpoint an exact time of when it will happen. It needs initiation. It needs an embodiment of a new way of being. So in paradox to what I've kind of just said, in that healing takes time, healing has no dictatorial positioning or when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, and nobody can project that on you. And it can be hard for us to even project it upon ourselves because there is a greater, higher plan happening, and it is very massive and it's weaving through many layers. At the same time, I truly believe that quantum leaps and incredibly massive identity shifts and identity formations of self and identity in general, and like our ability to heal and expand and become anew and to access the portal and to change and shift and call in incredible things and to become incredible new versions of self, that is always available. That is always possible because all potentials exist at the same time when we tap into the web of life and we choose to pay attention to a specific reality. All realities are existing at the same time, and that portal sometimes is more potent than other times, and it might be easier to tune into a specific frequency or reality or way of being or connectivity to God's source than at other times. But it is always there. There is always a capacity for us to evolve and to change and to transform and transition. So that is always there. However, when I say that, I don't want to glamorize the fact that we can effortlessly, you know, change and heal in a moment's notice, because I am deeply in love with this body, and this body is coming along for the ride with us. So when we override the processings of the body or the processings of the ego or the processings of our ancestral lines, like there's a lot of components at play here, and I think some people override that to dictate upon themselves how and when it will happen, and how and when, and potentials of how it could happen for another person that they might be trying to heal or hold space for. Because everybody's field and experience and asking and soul is seeking something different. And so even when we say in this here now moment, I claim to be healed from such and such, that is your creatorship will. But at the same time, we have to honor that there has to be a lot of purging, releasing, and shift and change in your life for that to actually occur, and for that to actually take hold and to happen truly. So it's not just like a singular one-dimensional thing of, okay, I'm healed. You know, there is a cascading butterfly effect of the reality that we choose to walk into and become. And it happens through the body, and it happens through our environment, and it happens through the field, and our whole being has to change in a way. So it is a very multifaceted way of seeing healing. And I think that this is the only way that we can truly like honor the healing process, is that it is a whole thing. It's a whole thing, you know, and we can make it as simple and as big as we want. We can make it as small as we want. We can make it as big as we want. Both are true. There's no, that's like both ways of seeing it are true. But I think that we have to honor both as true in order to be looking at it in an organic, authentic, wholesome and true way. Where do God wounds come from? Might be a question you're asking yourself or pondering upon. So God wounds can come from, of course, our ancestral lines. there is a lot of pain and suffering on this planet because of the density field that we are in, of course. And there is a lot of pain and suffering because of the mind and the ego and how our ancestors or the people before us, what actions and beliefs they held and chose to stay true to, or actions they chose to take. And because of that, we are now releasing and remembering a higher way of being. And our ancestors would have experienced severe God wounds from the density on this planet, and also the severance from our true organic selves. So there is a very palpable divine energy that exists in these bodies. There is a very divine, palpable, and organic way of being that exists through the human experience. It's very precious, it's very beautiful, it's very divine, it's very organic. And we have been severed from that connection. Like, a lot of you might have heard of the, I don't know why I said that in that accent. A lot of you may have heard of the tree of life, or the chakras, and all of these energy systems. They connect us to a higher state and a higher divine connectivity to something greater than this 3D human experience. And when we were severed from that, it pulled us into a purgatorial state, right? So the God wound is really this feeling that there's nothing other than this human experience and that there's no higher power. Maybe we believe that truly. Or maybe our ancestors or ourselves in past lives experienced such purgatorial pain that we forgot and felt so betrayed by God that we believed that there was no God, or that there was no higher power, and that it was just suffering. And so when we are in that state of mind, of course, it's very traumatizing for the inner child and for this divine, precious aspect of being that is innocent and loving and connected to a higher state. And when we cannot access that energy to a divine state of being through the chakras or through the energy systems, when we are not connected to that and not interacting with that, of course we would believe that this 3D matrix human experience is all there is, because that is all we can feel and see and touch and hear, right? So in this density plane, it's very easy to develop a God wound because God is all around us, but we've been conditioned to not be able to sense it or feel it. So past lives can cause a God wound from an experience, from a severing from God, from a lack of, also if you come here with a very high level capacity, or a lot of people talk about like high level DNA. I think that's kind of like hierarchical, and I don't like to look at humans or beings in that way at all, because we are all one. But through your soul coming down into this human experience, depending on the capacity that you've held, the closeness that you've been with God, it can be absolutely traumatizing and heartbreaking to come to this planet and feel the disconnection from, to, and with God. It is just traumatizing for the soul and the being, and that can even create a God wound for even high level souls that have ventured far and wide with God's source. So that could be one reason that you are experiencing a God wound, is just because of the severity of this density. Ancestors, bloodline, society, culture is overlaying a false reality upon us, and we are all very disconnected from one another, from organic life, and also of course from the universe and God, and being truly held. There is a lot of pain and suffering and uncertainty and doubt and hardship on this planet right now, and it's painful to experience. I don't think we realize the severity of it because we are so immersed into it. But when you connect to a higher level energy and to a higher frequency and to a higher dimensional state, or even the quantum, or even just stillness, or even just love. And then when you pull your attention back to the here and now, and when you entertain the norm of society right now, the norm of culture, it is very dull, and it is very empty, and it is very lonely, and it is very full of inorganic, painful experiences and frequencies and belief systems and suffering. And really acknowledging that asks us to look into how we feel about God, and if we feel like God is close with us, or if we are holding on to a God wound where we are feeling abandoned or alone or without. And there's nothing to be ashamed of for having a God wound. It's very common, I would say that we all have a little bit of it, at least, because of what we are going through on this planet and how lonely it can feel based on the programming that has been input into society right now. So how do we start the process of healing our God wounds? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've healed my God wound, because I haven't. But I am in the process, and have been in the process of healing my God wound for the last 3 years. And again, for myself and for my listeners, I'm not going to project upon you a timeline of how and when it should happen, because that is completely unique to you. And that is completely your soul's choice and your human's choice of when you are ready to welcome that holy frequency back into your life. And it is going to ask a lot of repairment and a lot of effort and a lot of change in your reality and how you're operating right now. So with that being said, the first and foremost, most potent and palpable way of connecting to God and healing this God wound is by returning to the heart. And the heart is the most powerful energy center in the body. And the heart is this place and portal that holds love to such a high capacity that I think most people don't even understand and can't even fathom how much love they can hold in their body. And I myself have not even experienced, I think, what I know that I could experience through my heart portal and through, connecting to love and this consciousness of love and oneness. But the heart really is that resting place of love. It's this portal, it's this nest of oneness. And so when we tune back into the heart, and when we feel the heart truly and honestly, and we crystallize through the heart so as to release the plaque and the webs of lies and falsification, and when we really allow the heart to glow and open and expand, we are healing our capacity to hold space for God in the body. Because when God comes into the body, God is going to come through all of our energy centers, but through the heart most profoundly and most potently, because it is like this nest of where unification and wholeness in God can sit. It's like this place in the body that can hold so much love. The capacity of the heart is built to hold a high level of energy and a high level of love and a high level of God in the body. And so when we open the heart, we are able to hold more of God. And this is the place where most people will feel grievance and suffering and pain and guilt and doubt, because it is where some people feel like their soul is in their heart. And I think that is for a reason, the heart and this, I'm pretty sure that the soul enters, below the breasts here is where I've felt it. But I would say that, creating a specific destination is a little bit funny. So the heart, that can be a place where you feel the most potent connectivity to God's source. The next thing that I would recommend doing to heal God wounds is to connect to creational energy and the microscopic, subtle energy that is all around you. And I've shared in other energy healing videos how to subtly sense what is around you, but it really is this muscle that we flex and this intention that we set to be able to feel and to also give access for our body to receive energy from around us. Because sometimes, especially as empathic people, or if you're a sensitive person, you might have chosen to block off the ability to sense and feel what is going on around you, and that will limit your capacity to feel God around you. And so when we let go of some of that armor, and when we let go of some of that shielding, we can slowly, you can imagine it like dissolving off of you, and you can slowly start to feel the energy around you in a safe place. And when you do that, you can feel creation more lively around you. You can feel its potency, you can feel its hug, its warmth, its love surrounding you, embracing you, and holding you. And that is God. That energy around you is God. And so when you feel God around you and you slowly let your shields and your armor dissolve, that can come into the heart. The last thing that I would recommend if you're wanting to heal your God wound is to practice and become aware of mental chatter and mental entrapments. So a lot of the times we hold on to belief systems in the mind that are like, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, I'm not cool enough, I'm not good enough, I'm guilty, I'm bad and wrong, I'm evil, whatever it is that we have been programmed to believe about ourselves. That will also keep God separate from us, because this mind actually plays a very powerful role in how we are able to interact with life and creation and the energies around us. And so when we pay attention to our thoughts, and when we pay attention to how am I interacting with life, oh, I believe I'm guilty and not worthy, and that I'm bad and wrong and evil, you're not going to be able to attract God into your field as deeply, because you are repelling it, and your energy is not a match for creation, organic God frequency. And so we have the opportunity, of course, to change our thoughts and to witness our thoughts. And that's why a lot of people will say the thoughts that you speak, the thoughts that you think, and the words that you speak are spells, and they are casting a reality upon your life. And so when we come into interaction, and when we come into the practice of changing our thoughts, we need to think of things that we want to draw into our lives, like, I am creational, I am loved, I am worthy, I am a divine child of God. God and I are together. God and I are one. Whatever it is that you are calling into your life, claim that through the mind field, claim that through your cellular structure, claim that through your whole being, through your auric field, and you will witness a shift in how you are able to connect to life and to reality and to the organic architecture of reality, and your reality will shift. You will have things come into your life that wouldn't have been able to reach you before, or that wouldn't have been able to contact you before, because your frequency held a barrier fence or a frequency fence, and they weren't able to access your field, and now they are, because you've shifted the way that you're holding yourself. And of course, this requires work. This requires effort. This requires a capacity to witness ourselves and do that work to look at self and to change and to heal. But it's worth it. It's worth it. And that's, kind of us remembering who we are, us remembering what we are worthy of. And that is your divine right, is to remember what you are worthy of and what you truly are, and to reclaim what you truly are, and to take action, to not be passive in the experience, but to know that you have the keys to change your life and to heal and to reclaim. That is our capacity, that is our ability, that is our divine right. And so I invite you to take action and to call it in. And I hope and pray that this video was supportive for you. If you received any sort of medicine from this video, I would so appreciate you commenting down below your experience. You can also give this video a big like. It really supports my channel. It supports me as a person in growing and evolving this page and also my practice. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to stay in touch and want to stay with the crew. We have an amazing group of people here who are tuning in and connecting to something greater than self and choosing a higher way of being. And so it is a fabulous, incredible place to be. Welcome. And I will see you guys next time. So much love. Bye.